Hi and welcome to Back to the Tactics board with Edge of Play. In today's video we're looking at the 3-3-1-1 formation for nine-a-side. We'll look at some of the features and also some of the issues you may face when using this formation with your team. Here we have the players then in the 3-3-1-1 formation. I'm going to start by looking at the features of this formation. Firstly, you've got your solid defensive unit. You've got your back three, central defender, left and right backs. You can shift across the unit, you've got cover and balance, and then you have that replicated in your midfield three as well. So you've got these two banks of three who can work together, shifting across the pitch. Very handy against a team that switches the play. This can make it hard for opponents to play through balls. It can mean you can work together as one player presses, the other player, two players tuck into this unit, and you get that natural shape then of a team as it shifts across the pitch, making you very hard to beat, making it hard to play through you. Because you have these solid two banks of three, I'd say a key player in this formation is your number 8 here, your attacking midfielder. They can probably get the freedom now to move into spaces, to get into pockets, get on the half turn and try and work with your number 9, with your striker. Because you have these two banks of three, 8 almost gets more freedom. You're almost saying the discipline of these two banks here, shifting across, working together, covering each other, means that number 8 should have the freedom to get around, really kind of exploit spaces, make it difficult for an opponent to track them. This will be great as well for your number 9, then having a player to work with who's always working off them. By not being square to them, it makes it harder for a defence and a midfield of the opponent to know who's responsible for them. The 8 as well, from coming from this deeper position, can be making these big movements from deep, beating off side traps. Very difficult for defence when the player's got up ahead of speed and is into their full stride before they've crossed your line, your defensive line. So by the time that ball's played in there, the defensive line are trying to play the 9 offside and shouting offside and 8's in and onside. Another nice thing as well, I mentioned the two banks of three, but you've got the width both in defence and midfield. So when the ball's been played out from the back, for example, and it's gone into your full back, they'll have that option of support ahead of them up the line. That can be added to as well by the movement of your 9 and 8. But just this being able to link together between 2 and 7 on this side, and then 3 and 6 as I have it here on the other side of the pitch. This can be great as well as you move up with possession. This can be great as well for your overlap movement from your full back. Very hard to track, will test the opposition winger if they're tracking you as well, and play you in behind. Let's look at some of the challenges you may face in this system then. I think your central midfielder is going to have to be quite disciplined, because if your wide midfielders are offering you the width in advanced areas, then 5's going to have to stay in there and protect the defence and cover a large amount of ground. This formation can lack advanced width. You know, you're relying on your side midfielders to be able to get up the pitch and support the play, but they may have been sat in this midfield block of 3, working together, you know, shifting across. When possession's first regained, they've got to try and find those positions again. How high do you want them to go? Because they're going to leave number 5 alone. So it's just finding that right balance, so you do have width, but you also have that compactness in the middle. If those movements don't happen, then your attacking midfielder and your number 9 can end up quite isolated, and you're not going to get the ball to them enough to cause problems for opponents. I think your attacking midfielder is quite crucial to this system. You know, if they can make that ball stick when it comes forward, can receive it in those little areas, can be there for the number 9 to lay the ball back to. If they can make it stick for long enough for your side midfielders to move up the pitch, then you can start to cause an opponent more problems. And you can start to be more expansive. But you know, if they're not doing that, looking at the issue you may face though is if that player's not getting on the ball, or they're not having a good day with the ball, by the time your players have moved forward, possession's lost again, and you'll keep getting exposed. So you end up with your wide midfielders continuing making this movement without necessarily getting the ball. I think as well that if you look at the system, I talk regularly about the idea of having diamond and triangle angles of support, and the natural shape of this team in this setup is straight lines. You've got the square on defence and midfield, you've got this straight line up through the middle. So players are going to be responsible for making the correct angles. If 4's dropping in, to make that little triangle angle of support between them and the fullbacks. Is 5 dropping off into an angle as well, just to make the angles to build possession and make your passes less easy to intercept. How do 8 and 9 work together? They don't want to be in straight lines, so is 8 working off 9? So you're just looking for how can your players get out of the line of each other so passing angles are created. I'd say this formation relates to quite a few you have in the 11-a-side game. An obvious one would be the 4-4-1-1. You're just taking away one of your central defenders and one central midfielder. You could also compare it to the 4-3-1-2 as well, losing one of the forwards and one defender of course, but the idea of this midfield three having to be a mixture of compactness but also give you some width as well. With the three at the back it could also be a 3-5-1-1. You're taking away your wing backs from that, but again the way these midfield three work as a central group and get into channels too. And finally a 3-4-2-1 could be prepared for in this system too. If you're taking away one of the midfielders there, you're kind of almost showing that the 7 and 6 in many ways can be like a wing back role, a lot of running needed from you in there. Thank you for watching this formation video. I do hope you found it useful. For more videos for 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side and 11-a-side formations, go to the tactics section at www.edgeofplay.com.